very special guest today. He started out selling vintage jeans in LA, Hollywood. He has a store. You guys may recognize the guy next to me. He's really popular with the selvage denim and like the baby tee and all the cool things that are happening now. He is the one of two from Hidden Rivet, I would say,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Respectfully.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is Wyatt.
Thank you
on
for having
episode
me.
11.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dude, long overdue. I feel like we've been talking about doing this, but I didn't like it. Now I feel like it's the right time.
Definitely. I remember you asked me earlier, and I kind of felt like I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
I need to do a little bit more to kind of get to that spot where there's enough to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, and then at the time when I was asking you, I was already. Sometimes I don't like people feeling like that because I want, like, I want to hear your perspective right then and there.
Yeah.
I think people want to have a storyline so
Yeah.
that they can talk, but I don't really. I think people just want to get to know who that person is.
Yeah.
And then because I like to see the growth. I think everyone loves growth, so that's why sometimes I'm like, I had another client who I asked. He was doing small stuff, like really small stuff. And then he's like, nah, I'm going to go to Paris and I'm going to do my whole thing there. And then when I come back, I'll have more to tell you. And I'm like, okay, but like your story's cool right now because you're working.
I think it kind of, I don't know, it goes back to, I feel like you being a kid, at least for me, I'd always like think of moments like this where I'm like, I'm going to be interviewed about this. I'm going to talk about this because of all these like great things I'm doing. So I feel like maybe part of the people who say no in the beginning are like, they see more for themselves in the future, just even close future, so that they want to accomplish that to be able to talk about it.
That's a good...
Which doesn't always make sense, but I feel like it...
No, that's a good perspective. Yeah, I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I always was like, oh, I'm going to be talking about something I'm creating, whether, whatever it is. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. So I'm glad that now we're in a position where we not only became, like, business associates, but like now I feel like I'd call you a friend,
Yeah,
and I could
we're
just
buddies.
Yeah, we could just talk and like
Typical.
It's just yeah, it's like typical.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what makes it interesting. And then like you've also had like an insane amount of growth, which is like fuck, it makes me so happy to see.
Yeah.
But before we even get there, I want to talk about the beginning, how you started, where are you originally from? Are you from LA? How did Hidden Rivet become a thing? How did the store happen? It's a mouthful, but
Yeah.
like stuff that I've never asked.
So
you.
I'm 28.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit older than everybody who's kind of doing this right now. I still feel young though. And I grew up in Santa Clarita, which is just like an hour north of here. So if you know Magic Mountain.
Yeah.
Kind of like the last suburb of LA. And grew up there pretty much until I was 18, and I went to FITM in downtown.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I went there, and I think I graduated high school in 2014, and I graduated FITM at, I think, 2017.
What did you major in?
Apparel industry management, so how to like own and operate a clothing business, which...
Oh. You learn anything?
Honestly...
Besides connections. I feel like it's good for a connection. Could be wrong.
Truthfully, I made it like... It was a cool experience in its own. I feel like mine was a little bit different. I was going to school, but living with two friends one friend that was actually going to FITM, but one friend who wasn't. I was just like a lifelong friend with him. Mm-hmm. And I was living with them in an apartment and ended up going to like a pop-up shop and for Kanye.
Oh, shit.
Waited for like 10 hours, and my friend at the time knew I was in...
already, huh?
Yeah, knew I was in fashion school and was like, do you need an intern? He was asking for me. And we were just there to buy clothes and sell them like online later. It was like the Life of Pablo merch stuff.
Oh, shit.
And we get through, the lady's like, yeah, we do need somebody. I'm actually his personal assistant. And so he's like, oh, take down his email address. Like my friend was like just trying to help me out. Yeah. And I gave my email, and then like 3 months later, I got an email to come work for Yeezy, and I did that for like full time while I was in school. So I was doing like 40 to 60 hours a week at Yeezy, and then 40 hours a week full time at school too. So I was doing like trying to do both. So I wasn't really like, I didn't meet the people in school. I didn't really make that many friends there. I was kind of just going to like finish my credits and get back to like work.
Yeah.
And part of me almost dropped out. I was like considering it because I'm like, I'm already working in this field. Like, why not? And yeah, I did Yeezy for like about a year.
Where was that at?
In Calabasas. And it,
Oh, shit.
so you were like one-on-one with Kanye, one-on-one with like other designers at that time.
Shut the fuck up.
So I was so into music at the time and so into clothing that was like, I felt like a peak that I could kind of get to.
That's insane. What was the commute like?
Oh, dude, it was like an hour and a half there every morning and then like 2.5 hours home. And I'm going from downtown to there. I lived like on the west side, kind of central west side. But like I'd have to go to downtown and then go back the other way past my area just to get back to work. And then, yeah, like random, they'd be like, can you go to New York tomorrow for a month? And I'm like, okay. And like, we'd just go do that and like try to figure it out. That was my first time in New York. They're like, you need to go to these factories, get these samples made. I'd never done that. I'd never been in a factory. I'd never seen like sweatshops or anything like that.
But are they in sweat? Like at that time, was it like sweatshoppy?
He had your place reminds me a lot of his. So it was kind of just like a big
big sweatshop.
No.
It's not a sweatshop.
No. When I say sweatshop, I mean like lots of sewing machines, and it can be warm sometimes. That's it. I don't mean like unethical or anything like that. I'm cold right now.
I know. We have AC blasting.
When I say I'm talking studio-wise. So I see your studio, and it reminds me a lot of like, it's really cool. You walk in here, it's like a good vibe. It smells good. Looks good.
Yeah.
You got plants around. It's more than just like a production house. It's like your brand too. That's kind of shines through it. So that's how his was.
Oh wow, that's sick.
He just would buy out like industrial spaces and kind of just set up like a shoe factory, a design factory.
Shut the fuck up.
Different
Really?
things.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, you go to Calabasas and it's like, I had to sign a non-disclosure, but this was 10 years ago probably. So it's like, probably over with. But it's like just literally half a mile from that Air One in Calabasas. It's right down the street from it.
Oh shit! So he just goes, sets up, and like
he owns, I think, probably the whole parking lot now. So it's like massive warehouse. He'll own like this entire street. He'll just buy up everyone as people move out and make each one into its own thing. It's so empty though. It's like things are very spread out. But
it's so big, right?
Yeah, but he has like a team like smaller than yours, but
it's crazy because I got like a full visual of like what, like I can't even imagine like how crazy that is. Like to buy out, like that's like a dream. Imagine that. It's like I want the whole block, and I'm gonna set up all sewing machines.
It was the first time I showed up. It's like you walk into like a business. It looks like a business front, but everything's kind of gutted.
Yeah.
It's just concrete floors and kind of dusty and just racks and things everywhere. And slowly they would like build it up. There's like an Intel building and like they bought them. They like paid them to basically leave, I'm pretty sure, to like, so they could take over that building. But he has like a vintage archive out there. He had like size of like a Walmart almost. And all dated from like 1800s all the way through, which is
that's insane.
First look at like, at that time for me at like quality vintage, which was cool.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long does this Kanye thing go for?
So I started as an intern, and then quickly I made a couple friends there. One of them, his name is like Ding Young, and he's like now a pretty big designer. Like I was telling some vintage buddies about him, and they're like, he's my favorite designer. So it's cool to see like that, but we started as interns. I met like one of my closest friends named Harry there, and I'm still friends with him today. But started that way. I did like shoe design work, concert merch work, and then like.
And when you say work, what do you mean? Do you mean like you're designing a T-shirt design or like pants or designs? Or like, what does that mean?
Basically, like so he would show up, Kanye would show up and kind of give you like. Be like, okay, we want to do like a shoe that looks like a lesbian would wear this shoe. And like I remember him specifically saying that. We're all kind of like looking around, and that was
this before
350s were like the most popular thing. So we're like, it's sleek and futuristic. How are we gonna go backwards to like a lesbian shoe? You spend like 3 months on Google just like finding reference photos of shoes from like as far back as you can go. And pretty much it's all reference based, and that's kind of where I really learned how to like design to be able to like complete a product quickly, because I've like made music in my life before, and that was like something I really wanted to do, but I'd release things, but it'd be like, it'd take me like a year to release one thing.
Yeah.
When with these clothes now, I'm like, I can try to just get it done, because once it's out, you're already on to the next thing. It's not like you're going to be thinking about what's there. So
Yeah. Or you get bored of it, maybe, you know?
Yeah. So I'd see like that style. It's all just like you'd show him what based on what he tells you. You find photos, you fill up a board, like a mood board of all of these ideas, and he goes through with a sticky note and puts his sticky note on his favorite ones, and then he leaves. And then you take down all the ones he didn't touch, and you go to those, and then it's like you're just narrowing down to find like 2 that you can mix together that make sense.
Oh, shit.
So like those, he put out pod runners recently for like $20. I remember those back then, and it's because they found swim shoes that like people were just, the little booty shoes or like surf shoes. It's the same thing, same material and everything, but when you put it in a different, like you put it in a different area where it looks nicer, you can sell it for more. I mean, he's selling for $20, but it's because it's his name, so it makes more sense. But it's really all just how it looks to the consumer from where it's coming from. It was like many things I learned from there, but yeah, that was, so I did that for about a year. Went to New York, went to Miami, different things, and eventually it was like overwhelming to the point where I couldn't even like take it anymore.
What was
just like so much, when you're with, like you see, like if you work for celebrities, you kind of see them in like their best form and their worst form at the same time. And if he had like drama going on with his own family, which was none of our business, but it would kind of
affect you guys.
Boil over into like work, and people would be affected by things like that. So I decided to leave just to try to like find some like mental clarity, and I left there and tried to focus on music for a while. I really wanted to do music when I was younger. That was like my number one dream, was trying to.
Before the music thing, like when you were working you were in that era with like what did you dress like?
That's hilarious.
What do you wear that
like, cause I was just looking at pictures the other day, and I'm like, what am I wearing? But I mean, we all go through that. Like my biggest inspiration at the time was like, I was super into Fear of God. I was super into Yeezy. I was super into Rick Owens. I didn't wear any of it, but like those brands.
What year is this?
This is like
16?
16, 17.
Holy shit! Yeah.
Probably when you were like, I feel like, were you doing a brand then?
Yeah, that's when I had my brand.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
So yeah, it was weird because I was like, I could never afford these designer brands, and like even if my parents were all into me like dressing however I wanted, but it was like, you got to figure out how to get it. And so I'd see these brands, and I'd try to find it. Basically, as I worked there, I was influenced by all the people that worked there, that I started just naturally dressing like these people I was around.
Dang, what is that? Dude, you gotta send me a picture. Like,
I was wearing like
Fear of God like outfit, or like
I had the jeans, the ripped jeans with the in zipper.
Those are.
I was wearing like Ultra Boost, the long shirt under.
You gotta send me a picture. You got a picture?
Yeah,
like
we'll blow it up. We'll put it
dude,
here.
I know it'd be cool to like show the picture. I gotta see what that looks like, because I see you today.
Yeah.
Like you know, wearing what are these? The indigo, the hemp ones.
Yeah.
And like your shirt and like your shoes. But I see Wyatt now, and this makes sense.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine Wyatt in like.
Dude, I've gone through like, and I'm sure if I have like friends that watch this, they'll probably laugh too. But I've gone through like every phase you can, like, I've had hair down to here. I've had a man bun. I grew a rat tail all the way through high school, and I cut it on like graduation night.
I'm surprised you don't have a cafe racer, like a bike.
I've never ridden a motorcycle.
I
want to.
Right there.
Yeah. I'd fit that whole vibe. But it was a different time for sure. But it was It was a funny time for clothing if you really think about it during that time. Like very exaggerated and stylized.
Yeah, I think during that time, I would say, from my perspective, it was a different scene because at that time it was Fear of God, ERD. ERD
Yeah.
was like just starting, not
That's
just
that
starting,
was the first time I heard about
but
that.
they were like, they were there, and like
They were worn by the people that were also wearing Fear of God. That's how I remember.
yeah.
I'd be like, "What is that shirt?"
exactly, because back in that time, this is why the street is so great, is because Santa Fe, where we're at, where Soho House is, that, it's right here, right?
Yeah.
So that street where you go in is called Bay.
Okay.
So that street, when I first got into the industry, that was where I first moved in. That there's two
Oh,
buildings.
wow.
So if you turn in, there's 4 buildings only on that, 4 or 5 buildings only on that little street. On the second one, we were in, and it was like something like this size, a little bit smaller. And then they built out little offices. They had 4 offices, 200 square feet, 150 square feet each one.
Wow.
And then the rest of it was like a full blown, like, that was a sweatshop.
Okay.
And then multiple people had there, and then they had a cutter. And that's all they had. And then so that was the first place that I moved to. I went to go see the guy, and he was like, ended up being our cutter. His name was Manny. Shout out Manny. And then we ended up moving in there, and I was just like a young designer. As the years went by, the Soho House wasn't even that. It was just like that Harvey something building, and it was
Yeah.
abandoned for years, bro, years.
Wow.
Until finally about like, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years in, someone bought it, and now we know who. And then they started rebuilding the whole building, and then rent shot up. What that building used to be about $4,000 a month turned into like 8,000.
Wow.
And then so we all dipped. We left.
Damn. So
Yeah.
they just raised it on you like.
Yeah, the lease was up, and
Oh,
then
so
like
they
it
were
was
like,
time to
hey,
renew, and they're
wow.
like, rent's going up because this area is worth so much. And they hadn't even built Soho House. It was just that someone had bought it,
Wow.
and then
It's like
everything.
the plans were already there, kind of thing.
Yeah, and so they knew it was going to be popular, and they knew all these things. So
Wow.
that was it. And then fast forward to, now it's just kind of cool to like see that we're here.
Yeah.
But I don't even know how we got to this topic about.
Fear of God.
Oh,
and all
Fear of God.
them. Yeah.
Duh, there you go. So then the whole Fear of God thing. So when we were there on that in that block, Fear of God still has their office right here on the corner where we're at. You know how you go 8th Street?
Yeah.
Yeah. So their offices where it says coffee, and it has a little
Yeah.
arrow. What is it called? The Art House?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where their offices were. I don't know if it's still there.
Oh.
But then at this time, it's because like when you're young, like you see what that person does. I remember, the owner, Jerry, he would have like a black G-Wagon.
Yep.
And then he'd be parked in front, and everyone knew. And then on that same street, at the end of the block, that's where ERD was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they had
For some reason, I didn't realize they were
at that time.
out here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Where are
at
they
that
now?
time. I think they might have moved from last time I heard was the reason I know this, just so everyone knows, is because our sewer used to work there,
Oh, really?
and so did my manager, his dad.
Damn.
They would go in there to help him with the leather jackets, with the production management, so he was by his side for a good while.
I would imagine it's like a small industry of like sewers and all that type
Tiny.
of stuff. I feel like everybody kind of knows each other.
They do, and like the big companies like them. Well, at that time, Fear of God was like, I don't know what happened with them, to be honest, but at that time they were still producing a shit ton of like sweatshirts, right,
Yeah.
hoodies, jeans, and so they had all the best talent. That's why their stuff was so good,
Yeah.
because they had all the talented sewers. And so
Wow.
for a company like that, because denim sewers are expensive, so like they had all the
Yeah.
best people, and they had all the money. So you could pay someone, top dollar, $25 an hour,
Yeah.
but you need like 30 or 40 of them. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But if you're making,
That much, especially per pant. I mean,
Yeah.
those were going for like 13
Yeah.
to 18
It's
at
crazy.
that time, which that's crazy.
yeah, so
I,
those margins are crazy,
yeah.
so
I couldn't even. Yeah, I think about that a lot actually, as I'm like trying to figure out what to price things at. I'm like, it had to have cost them less than what I'm doing.
Oh.
Right? Just the times and everything too.
100%.
Yeah.
It was because the good thing about them was that they were manufacturing everything. They were their manufacturer. They didn't have someone
Oh.
like me.
Okay.
they were the manufacturer. Like this was
Got
like
you.
their manufacturing
that
place,
makes
and they did everything themselves for their own company.
Wow.
So which is like, yeah, you're saving every bit of money.
And you kind of are, you can see every detail all the way through, which
Exactly.
is
So a
probably,
production manager job. But then I don't know what happened. Slowly, I think they might have moved stuff somewhere else, I think maybe. And then a lot of those people became available. There was a lot of switch. And then like companies like us were able to kind of pick up on small talent and be
Wow.
like, oh, you know, like,
yeah,
oh.
kind of grab them a little bit.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh shit, well, we want to do something cool. And then we
Yeah.
start grabbing people like that. So a lot of the stores have been working around, like we have stores that were like, yeah, I used to work at Fear God back in the day.
Okay.
You know, so
yeah,
like
yeah,
it's a
that's
lot
cool.
of that.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, but I mean, yeah, and then so ERD was there too, and so like I knew exactly what they were doing because like I knew the brand, and I'm like, shit,
Yeah.
this is a cool brand. It's 2016 or even
Yeah.
earlier, like 2015. So I was like, yeah, this is fucking cool. So, yeah, and at that time it was just like all the cool brands. Like then it was like Yeezy. So
yeah, all of those. Like, I had two friends that I went to FITM with, and one of them was like just really driven to like get a brand going.
Yeah.
And I think when I went to school, I was, before the Yeezy thing, I was more just like kind of lost. I was like, I know I want to do something in this. I know I want to own a brand. I'd like sold T-shirts, different brands growing up and stuff, but wasn't sure the route, especially for like higher end stuff. It didn't make sense to me yet. And this kid, it made all the sense in the world too. So I kind of watched him do it. He was my roommate, and I watched.
He's still doing clothing now?
He's not still doing clothing now.
Shit.
I watched him get screwed like just time and time again, and just like lose money and like all these different things. And he'd be like, yeah, I just hired like this production manager to kind of handle my stuff, and I just caught the person like selling my samples to a different brand who like knew about me. And he's like, I just happened to walk up and they were doing a transaction, and like out of their trunks, and a lot of different things. He like sued somebody during that time, and I just remember being like, yo, the fashion world sounds overwhelming. This was like now at the end of Yeezy. Once I'd left, I'm like still friends with him, looking back and being like, I've been here for a year and you haven't even released anything, but you have all these kind of half-done samples. And he was just like, it's too much. And I remember being like, all right, I gotta back away from this and find something else.
Yeah, like I don't want to do clothes.
Yeah, at that time I was like, I was pushed so far away from it. I was like ready to go from it.
And I always tell Erica all the time, and like, and some clients too, is that I think what we do here, we try our best to do like good work, not screw over anyone.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like people haven't experienced the bad side of the industry.
Yeah.
To understand how the industry works, and like how patient you have to be, and like figure out that when someone's trying to screw you and when not.
Yeah.
And when they're not, it's like just be a little patient with everything,
Definitely.
right?
Yep.
Because it's tough. Like I always say, a manufacturer could make or break you. Like if I screw you over on a drop, that could break you for a good while.
Yeah.
$15,000 job, and you're like, fuck, everything's fucked.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah. And that's I just watched him like just pour this money into it, and that's when before I found you, I was working with a different manufacturer, and it was like a year before I had found you, of just like these random meetings, just like showing up, and it was like it felt like very like a FITM bought production house kind of thing. Like you go there, it like, at least for me, because I went to FITM, like you walk in and it feels like FITM, and if you've gone to FITM, I feel like there's like some cheesiness to it, almost kind of like they try to make it look nicer than it actually is, and which is funny because it's like a clothing place that's supposed to have like quality in it. But I always thought that was weird. But going to this place, it was like they'd be like, call you, and they'd be like, hey, I found these fabrics, and I'm like, I already found my fabric. Like I already told you this. Why are you like? And they're like, well, it's a part of the deal that you paid for. And I'm like, I paid for a package, but I'm like coming out here, and it's like just you didn't show me anything I'm interested in. You didn't even listen to me, type of thing. And it just felt like I was like trying to walk them through what I wanted, which I'd already given them like a layout of what I wanted.
Yeah.
And like it took me probably 8 months to get a sample, and the sample looked like I made it. And I was just kind of like, what is going on here? Is this how it's going to be looking? And they had like a book in their waiting room about denim and about different types of denim. And at the time, I was going to try to put hidden rivets on the back pockets.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like trying to explain this to them, and they had no idea what I was talking about. And I'm like, okay. And I go, and they're like, we need to like go check something. So I wait in their waiting room, and I'm going through this book that's in their waiting room, and it's all about how to install hidden rivets in denim. And I'm like, this is in your place. You guys could go look at this book, and it tells you exactly how to do it.
Yeah.
And so from right there, I was just like, I got to find somebody else. Like, I got to do something
shit.
else. And I go to my store. I'm at the store, and that day, Nate from Pinup came by to buy something from us. And normally he'd call before, but he just kind of popped in, and it felt like he was supposed to be there. And he's just like, what's going on? And I'm like telling him about like all of this headaches, and he's just like, dude, you got to go to Eli. And I'm like, really? And he's like, you just got to go to Eli. It's going to be better. He's going to take care of you. I was like, all right, I'm going to try Eli. And literally that day, we sent you a text, had like a phone meeting the next day, came by the next week, and it's just kind of been nonstop since.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I didn't even know. Because at the time of talking to Nate, I didn't have a TikTok account. I wasn't on TikTok. I wasn't barely on Instagram.
Shit.
I didn't have any type of TikTok when I first met you. And that's not like I have some crazy TikTok now.
I wouldn't have guessed that. Just judging by what you do on TikTok, how you post.
Yeah.
I would have been like, this guy's been on it for a minute.
Yeah. And it happened quicker than I would expect for like to find like I hated on TikTok for years. Like I had
Same.
friends that were like, dude, if you're going to do anything, you got to be on TikTok. And I'm like, shut up. I don't want to go on this app.
I don't want it.
And I had so many people come into my store because I'm very passionate about how I talk about things. And they're like, you need to make TikToks about you talking. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And they kept saying it. And they're like, it's going to just help what you're working on grow. So I'm like, all right, I got to try it. And very quickly on there, found a community of like people that like are into what I'm doing and just kind of like see me as somebody that like, they just want to know what I'm making. And it's cool because I was always one of those kids watching people online too. Like YouTube was my like TikTok. So I was like nonstop watching different fashion people on YouTube.
That's so fucking insane.
Yeah.
Dang, it's like I think sometimes on the other side of things, as a manufacturer, you never, far and few, I would say people start a manufacturing business to be in manufacturing.
Yeah.
I think it's usually something that's a hand-me-down. That's like, my dad started it, and so I'm doing it. Right? And in the last part, I was just talking about this, that, no one really wants to be a manufacturer. Like, it's not something that you're like, fucking manufacturing sounds so fucking cool. Honestly.
Yeah.
It's really weird, but I think just because of how I got into it, it became like.
You make manufacturing look cool, though.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean?
That's how I feel, but I thought I was being biased because I'm doing it, right? Obviously, I'm going to be like, yeah, my shit's hot because I'm the one, it's our shit.
Yeah, yeah. And it like there's something to be said about being the manufacturer for all of these brands that all these people like online.
Yeah.
Like it speaks something on you, and you got to think about, like, I'm like, what am I going to do on TikTok? Like, there's already all these people showing off clothes that they're making, showing all of the stuff. Like, I'm just going to be another fish in the pool. But you realize, like, you're ever so slightly subtle differences about yourself is what that one person who's on there is going to be like, wow, this person's just like me. Or, like, they find some connection to you. I bet you have so many people online who want to be a manufacturer, or just kids, like, getting ready to be at that point.
Yeah.
Because, you make it look fun.
I think I think by the time, if there is going to be a wave of new manufacturers for young kids, I think it won't happen until a failed clothing brand happens. Like they had the brand, they know everything about it, but then they're like, okay, now I want to pivot to maybe just manufacturing because I know it. Yeah. Same thing like me, but I don't. It's like this, how like, and this is probably controversial, but like how like Elon was like, I have so many wives because we need to populate Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's like, I don't think it's going to happen until very far down the line. Like, I think it's not happening right now.
Right.
And I think there's definitely not enough manufacturers. I think the new wave of manufacturers like me will come years on out, like maybe 10 years. It took me, to become a manufacturer, it took me 10 years.
Yeah, for me to figure out what I'm doing, it took me about 10 years from that point. And yeah, that's also a thing is like, yeah, I look at all these kids and I'm like, it's so cool to see like everybody under the age of like 20, just like hustling and like following through with what they need to do.
Like,
and
under like 19, bro. Like it's 18.
When I was that age, I was like, I mean, I was working at Yeezy, but also I was like doing random things. I wasn't thinking about a business. I wasn't thinking about any of that.
Bro, I was building cars. Like I was not even like doing clothes.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But you know, you did hit something. I always say you can always like gauge the level of success of a person based on how they communicate and what they say. My biggest thing I've always told anyone, and last time I talked about it, and I talk about this so passionately, is because the difference between your brand being successful and not is like the things that you're saying right now. Like right now, even if I didn't know you, if I didn't know anything about you, and you're telling me what you do for your brand and how you post yourself, I would be like, for sure, his brand sells. Why? Because I know what is required in order to make it work. And one of the key points that you said was the main difference between you falling like being like all the other brands is really at the end you.
Yeah.
Right? You could have two of the same jeans, but this guy is way cooler than that guy because I don't know who that guy is. Actually, there's no face behind the brand.
Yeah.
That difference is what makes a brand, especially now, where you need to be on social media.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about that too, because like everybody's their own person, but I know everybody has some insecurity about themselves, about something that is different than everybody else. And they're like, oh, this is my weird part, or like, you know, they try not to show it or whatever, but really that's probably the thing that is going to make you most successful in life, that you just have to embrace instead of hide from. And I feel like that it took me, like, going back to music, it took me like years of overthinking music to realize, like, why am I overthinking these things? Like, you only live once. You might as well just try to follow through with things and try to like be proud of what you're doing instead of like hate yourself because you didn't do something. Yeah,
it's always like I think also too like an insecurity. Like you always want to like, it's like I see you doing your brand, so I'm like, oh, I want to be like Wyatt. So then you start doing all the things, but you're not really being yourself. Where it's like just be yourself. Yeah, and that's what you got to do.
I will say though, I think through imitation, if you're properly imitating and properly like experimenting, you can like, and like everything to me is kind of like music related, but you find an artist that you like that inspires you to make music, you're going to make music like them. But if you are a true musician, you're eventually going to break away from that. You're going to find your own sound, you're going to find your own thing. That's the same for like making a brand. I could love Fear of God and try to do everything Fear of God's doing, but eventually you're going to either run out of ideas, you're going to be compared to them too much, or you just have to grow as a person and as a brand, and you'll find yourself through that, or you won't. But
yeah, and I think imitating is I think because there's two parts of that, where it's like the biggest thing is imitating, right? But then the other part is at doing the reps, right? Because if I'm imitating you, I'm gonna do what you're doing 100 times. But from those 100 times, I'll learn enough that I'll probably start doing my own thing. Right?
Exactly.
So it's like a little bit of both, because it's like, and I think that part gets overlooked, where it's like, yeah, I'm imitating, but I'm also doing reps. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing. Repetition on the same thing over and over and over till finally you're like, I'm going to break free. Because you did it so many times. But if you don't do enough reps, I could copy you 20 days. And I'm like, okay, well, this didn't work for me, so I guess this isn't going to work. But if I copied you for fucking 365 days, every single day, there's so many reps in there that you're like, okay, I could do what he's doing, but way better. But I think often that part gets overlooked. But in reality, the underlining thing is reps.
Yep.
Doing the fucking work over and over and over and over until you're like, I got my own brand now, and this is what I want to do.
I saw a interview with like Rick Owens, and he was basically saying, I'm sure everybody's seen this because it's just like a clip floating around online, but he's like, you have to produce, and you just have to keep going and going. not everything's going to be perfect, but you're going to work out your own kinks through that
Yeah.
and your own like vision. And yeah, I bet you everybody who, like, if they look back at the first thing they've ever released for brand owners, I bet you they're not exactly happy with that first release.
Yeah.
But that first release taught them everything that they need to do for
Yeah.
the next things. But yeah, consistency is like, I think the key in life, honestly.
Yep.
For for mental health, for just everything.
Yeah,
It's
everything.
crazy.
I was like the other day, like my wife and I were just kind of talking about getting back into the gym, and she was like, yeah, she's like, don't skip out on working your arms out. You know, like I feel like you're not really working them out. And I'm like, listen, there's a method to what I'm doing. I want to work out my arms like all the time, but the problem is that going to the gym consistently is the problem. It's not because I don't, sometimes I'm like work or gym. If I'm waking up at 5
It's the
a.m., I'm
hardest
like
thing.
work or gym, and I'm like, fuck, I need to get ahead on work, so I'm going to go to work. So then going to the gym, so now it's easy for me to come to work, but not as easy to go to the gym. So, and it goes back to consistency, right? So I was telling her, I was like, listen, I'm gonna work out those arms, you know? Like, don't, I was like, don't you forget it. I was like, but I need to make sure that mentally my body and brain are like in rhythm that I'm going to the gym. So I was like, I'm just gonna go in and do crazy on the stairs. I go 10 minutes on level 10 and 8 minutes on level 8 and then 4 minutes on level 4. Right? And then that's it. It's like overall
kind of a burnout,
like,
right?
Yeah, it's a complete burnout, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm done. After like 20, I think it's total ends up being like 28 minutes or something with the warm up, and then I'm gone. Create a rhythm, consistency of going to the gym, where now I'm back in the rhythm, and now I'm like, well, I was like, I'm gonna work on my arms now, because like now I know I'm gonna go to the gym.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like doing the reps over and over, but it's like, but that's really the key to literally life.
Yeah.
Do it once and then do it again, do it again, do it again, until finally there's a rhythm, and then you're like, all right, now I could add in this little thing.
I think, like routine, rhythm, everything is like, that's my entire life is like, wake up every single day at 6 a.m. I go on a hike, run with my dogs.
Run with your sandals.
Run in my sandals. I come back, and I do that 7 days a week. I don't miss a day.
I didn't even know that.
It's one, to get my dogs out, so they're like constantly being exercised.
Yeah.
Two, it's like, if I didn't do it for me, I'd probably like lose my mind. I don't know. It definitely just helps me like stay sane, stay kind of centered, and allows me to like blow off some steam if I need to.
Yeah.
And I'm like doing the same exact thing every single day.
Yeah.
And it's when you said, I woke up at 5, do I either go to the gym or do I go to work? And that's the hard thing too, is it's like two things. It shows you like work too, I feel like, but it's kind of like,
You have to have the balance.
it's weird to have two things that you know are equally as good for you,
Yeah.
but you have to choose one, and that's life, I guess.
But the gym is really important, like just staying active,
Absolutely,
right? Like
yeah,
and it's like that's the thing where it's like I'm doing it because I like going to the gym, but I also want to stay active because I get energy and then I do better at work.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like a mix of things. Bernie, before we continue, is the sun doing this thing? Oh, it does?
Yeah, we just checked it.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Probably looks holy, huh?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. This guy looks like Jesus. He's like he's preaching.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I was saying we can move it this way, but if it's good, okay, cool.
Cool.
Okay, cool. Just making sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so then after the whole Yeezy thing, you fall into music. You're trying to do the music thing, right? You brought it up a bunch of times, and I think we've never really. You brought it last time, but like, so what? Okay, so you leave that, and then music kind of starts to happen, like.
It honestly wasn't anything that was happening. I think it was more just me having a passion that I was like couldn't let go, couldn't ever like see anything
music
else.
as in how? Like you're playing a guitar or DJing?
I'd produce everything, and then I'd sing, rap, whatever on it.
Rap.
I started in that, but like making beats for people and like just messing
Dude.
around with a roommate at the time. But more alternative, I guess, was what I was like ending trying to make.
Yeah.
And yeah, after the Yeezy thing, pretty much people I was living with ended up moving back to my parents' house and kind of like trying to lay my cards out. I was like 21 maybe, and stayed there for a couple years. And I was like, I'm gonna spend every single day teaching myself something new online about music, and just focus on that. Really trying to like put things out, and I think it kind of helped me with this, just because it's allowed me to be creative. It's allowed me to like see what following through with something can do. Like even if nobody listened to it, it's still like a finalized product I was like developing. And yeah, so I did that for a while, and then ended up working for a vintage furniture store that was owned by Tiger, my partner's family, basically.
Oh, sure.
And they would sell like couches from like the 50s for like $80,000. Like it was like highest end vintage furniture you could possibly deal with. It was all imported from like everywhere outside of Europe. And
wow.
Tiger was the manager of the place. Her aunt and uncle who owned it actually lived in Hawaii. So it was Tiger who ran the head of it, and then I handled production, and it was just us doing it. And we realized, okay, we understand how to work with each other in settings like this. And her uncle was like a huge influence on me for understanding design from like a visual aspect, not like so much is it functional when you wear it, does it sound good? It's like, how does it look and how does it make you feel? And I'd be like, why do you have this painting? It's got one little dot on it or something. And he's like, because when I'm walking by to go to the bathroom, I look at it and it makes me think of how, like, it makes me think. And he's like, I could be laughing at it, I could be crying looking at it, but it makes me feel something. And
like good or bad, right? Because you could be like, stupid dot.
Yeah, honestly.
But that's a feeling.
Yeah, and he's like, if it makes you think of something, doesn't matter what it is, it's doing its intention.
That's crazy. I never looked at it.
Because like you hear people all the time, they're like, this. You go to museums or something, you see art, and you're like, I've heard a lot of friends be like, I could do that. One, why don't you do it? But two, also, there's something specific about the way that it was done, and like whether you can make it look the same, sure, but like there's just a feeling in one versus another. There could be feeling in both, but I saw that and I learned how to like be very like aware of the details in every single thing that you do, and to be like, he taught me how to be as productive as I possibly can. Like the small details that really make a person like anal in some way is like, I feel like he was like, you may think I'm crazy for these things, but I think he knew it was going to help me out. And it was definitely it's like helped me design my store for Tiger and I. Like she's totally a part of that too and knows it even more than I do. But just like learning like about vintage stuff and being like, okay, furniture is furniture, but like you can create a space and it makes you feel a certain way. So we did that, and it was a store located on Beverly, and then they moved it to a Hollywood Hills house, and they're like, we're gonna sell furniture out of this house.
That's crazy.
And it was just Tiger and I again there handling it all. And
it's such a great idea too.
It was genius, because you get these like NBA players or something, or movie stars just come and they feel like they can kind of move around there and not have to worry about random people coming in.
Yeah.
It was all scheduled. It's all hidden. Nobody knew it was there unless you were buying it.
Yeah.
And it was one of the only houses that you could see the beach from one side and the Hollywood sign from the other. And it was like beautiful view. And we were there for about a year, and I learned a lot about like there's money to be made in old things. And that was like a huge thing I just cannot like wrap my head around. He'd be like, I bought this wicker bowl for $50 on eBay, and I'm like, okay, how much you want to put it on the website for? And he goes, what do you think, like 3,000? I don't know where the margins were coming from, but it was, and then it'd sell that day. And you just realize there's money in so many different places that you just weren't looking. And so it really taught me like, okay, there's things to be made in old things, but to buy furniture is, to import all of that stuff, it's pretty expensive and pretty tricky.
It sounds crazy because the logistics of moving stuff like
It's you have to have people over there that are working for you full time. They're pretty much like European pickers, and they are sending you photos random times. Do you want this? Do you want this? And they pretty much build a container for you. So they're just packing things in for a month,
shit.
and then it ships here, and it gets here like a month to 60 days later, and everything's wrapped like everything is wrapped. Like drawers in a thing are wrapped 100 times so it doesn't break. So everything is like so secure, but it takes you like a week to unwrap things.
I mean, but that's like an expensive game to play. Like that's another level of money because you're putting out X amount of money to fill up a container, yet you have to wait.
It's such a gamble.
It's crazy.
I think it started with them buying from like flea markets and kind of building up a showroom.
That's that next level.
Yeah.
So that's like at the top of the game because.
Yeah, I like Sharon Osbourne came one day and was like looking at this like leather wrapped little writing desk that was probably 3 feet by 1.5 feet, but it was a Jacques Adonai leather wrapped desk that just looked very unique, and it was like $85,000, and she was like,
sure.
There was her and one of her daughters were like so serious about buying it, and we're like so many emails back and forth about it and little questions about it, but I'm like, are you really gonna use it, or is it just like?
Did they end up buying it?
They didn't end up buying it. Yeah. Damn. A lot of people saw a lot of different people buy really unique stuff. I fell in love with a style of furniture too, and like different things, and like definitely opened my eyes up to that. So that was cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like
weird thing for sure.
Yeah, I always like to see like I always get obsessed of doing stuff to like that highest extreme, right? It's like fuck, what's like the top level of it, and then you're like, damn, like even in my industry, right? It's like, however, I mean, the most that I know that someone produces is like 25,000 pairs of jeans, and you're like, whoa, that's a lot.
A month?
A month.
Whoa.
Which, some people might be like, oh no, well, China could do more, but like for being in LA and someone doing those numbers, we're talking even at, $40 a pair.
Yeah.
Right? Talking $1 million a month in just sewing.
Yeah.
That's someone's doing that here.
And that's what I'm saying about this too. It's like people think they drive past manufactured places, they drive past this place, and they might not think anything of it.
Yeah.
But like things like this are like a moneymaker.
Yeah, dude, it's kind of crazy because that's like that, but that's like another level.
I was saying, yeah, but like you can see those levels where you could get to, and that's probably pretty exciting.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, just to see that, and then like you with the vintage stuff, I didn't even know that was a thing. But how did you and Tiger meet? I think I missed that part. Like for you to get that job and like that whole thing.
Tiger and I met when I was 20, and we were dating, and pretty much have just been very close. And she's kind of like the most important figure in, I'd say, the Hidden Rivet. Mm-hmm. I may look like the person that's in front of the camera all the time, and the person when you walk into the store, you're gonna be talking with me, but like, to keep a place like that running from just 2 people, it takes like, I'd say like an army to handle things, but it's really just her managing everything. She's great at buying vintage. She's great at like coming up with content ideas, and has been like, I owe so much to her, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for like her help. She's definitely like, if I'm overthinking, she's like, you just got to go for it. And you sometimes need that type of person. Oh, yeah. And,
by your side.
Yeah.
It's even more powerful to have that,
Yeah. And it kind of reminds me a lot of her aunt and uncle. One was always the face, one was kind of the buyer behind the scenes, and it kind of just worked for them. And that's kind of how it works for us. Yeah, she's incredible help.
Dang. So then after you guys are doing this, so then what happens after this? At what point do you leave, or like what's the transition?
So we both were. It was kind of. I was like, you know what, this isn't like lifelong for me. And at the time, my dad had a construction inspection business.
Okay.
and basically was like, hey, I can offer you this job where you're going to be working random nights and hours, but you'll be making like triple an hour what you're making right now. It's just kind of annoying work that you just have to show up for.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I got to do something to just make a little bit more money to kind of get the step up. And so I left there. I did that for a while. She ended up leaving there. They were going to close the house and move to a different showroom. And I guess permits caught up with them maybe for like they weren't allowed to be selling out of the house kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And so she went to another furniture person, same type of deal, and pretty much managed that for them. And I think that's where her mentor kind of came in. She met the guy who owned Merritt, Los Angeles. It's like another furniture place. And the guy, Paul, there was like her mentor. And I know like his personality stuck with her. Her uncle, Nadir, his personality kind of stuck with me. And that's kind of, I feel like if we didn't have those two people in our life, we wouldn't have figured out the direction we needed to go.
Oh, shit.
So we did that. And then I was always still trying to do music, so I was like, I'm gonna sell clothes on the side just to like.
Yeah, I'm just gonna rap
buy,
on the mic.
Yeah, to buy gear and things like that, and started doing Depop and started noticing there's like some money to be made on that. And that was probably 2021 around there, and just kind of right at the end of COVID. Still, COVID was going on. And just realized, all right, this is super fun. I can go to the bins on my own time. I can go find clothes anywhere. I keep everything that I want, and then I sell all the things I don't want. And was just kind of doing that for fun. And then randomly I got a text one night, and they're like, hey, this is your setup time for Silver Lake Flea Market. I'm like, well, what happened? And Tiger's like, oh, I signed us up. Like, I hope that's cool. I was stoked. And pretty much from then on, we did every Saturday and Sunday for like 2 years at Silver Lake.
What year is this?
This is probably 2022, 2022, 23, around there.
Oh, shit.
And that's kind of like, that led us to meet all of these like brand people, all these people that like have brands that started in vintage. They were one way or another just selling vintage at the time. And that taught me like how to handle like an inventory of like random price things that like have a value just because of what it means. And and we did that for a while. The vintage community to me just felt very like, if I have a friend that has a brand and he comes to the store, like I want to hear about his brand and I'm excited for him as like drops going, like Luca from Magnolia. Like he comes in and I'm super excited to hear what he's talking about. I'm excited for his drop, and like I want him to succeed because like I can see how much he's passionate about it. But for vintage wise, when you're in a place where people are, it's very like take. Like I made more money. This is how much I made. If you didn't make that, like what are you doing? Kind of thing. And it felt very competitive, which it is, and like there's competition and everything, but it felt like overwhelming. And I'm like, am I beefing with somebody in high school, or am I like trying to make some money here? And after it just kind of became a little bit too much, we kind of backed away, and we were about to fully get out of vintage. And we had a friend at the time who was like, hey, I just went to the store. It was a store I recommended to get some repairs done. He's like, I walked in there. They spoke my language. They want to know if we want to be in the front of the store.
Is it English?
It was like Russian, Armenian.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I was actually just fucking around. I didn't even know that.
No,
I thought you were just saying,
no, because he went in there. So he was
I
Russian.
thought it was, I was like, yo, he spoke my language. I was like, but I thought you meant like he was communicating you like the way that you like.
He was saying the numbers I wanted to know. And so we started there, and I did that for about a year. And I just kind of was like, yeah, this place is cool. We're renting out a store. I can see the money that's being made. But it's very limiting. It's not our store, which I was so grateful to be there. The people taught me like everything I could have possibly wanted to know for like sewing. They were repair people. So I learned sewing in college, but I didn't really learn how to be comfortable with the machine until being there.
Yeah.
And they'd take money off of our rent if I did hems for them or
You're
hems
like-
for our clients. Yeah. And it was fun and it taught me different techniques, but I was like, I want to make stuff and I want a space that is mine. Because going back to like the furniture thing, a space that is like looks good, in my mind, you can sell things for more.
Yeah,
So like, you know,
perception, right?
if you have a pair of Levi's that you found online for 50 to 80 bucks, if you put it in an environment that it looks nicer, the type of people that are going to go into that environment are going to have more money and are going to want to spend more just because that's their mindset. And so, yeah, we were at that one store for just shy of a year, and then we just moved down the street to an open space. And
then
there.
at this time, like, are you guys hidden Rivet or no? Like, just kind of going no name?
No. So the store that we were at was called Denim Revival. And we called ourselves, we were like the front of the store.
Sorry, that was like something in his mouth.
He's just playing with the ball.
No, look, he can take that out of his mouth. Just yank it out, yeah. I think it's dust. Wesley, come here. Come here, Wesley. Sorry, just... Wesley, sorry, dude. This guy's like literally dust. Come here. Wesley, come here. It's not part of the show.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
So it was at the store called Denim Revival. We
Yeah.
coined ourselves Studio Revival, so we're like the front of it, and
okay.
did that. My selling art, we had different selling names. One was Thank You, Come Again with 2 M's in the M or in come, and the next one was Oiled Rags. And
Oiled rags, okay.
that was like our longest one, just like dirty clothes kind of
Dirty
thing. Like
clothes,
you'd
yeah.
think of rags in a garage or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. That's what I was thinking.
So we did that, and Hidden Rivet, pretty much we got the store. We were like trying to find a place, walking around. I looked into the storefront that was vacant. I was like, if we can get this would be cool. And we called the place. They're like, sorry, it's just been rented. I'm like, damn. We go back like 3 days later, and it looks like nothing was touched. I just called again. I'm like, squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah.
So they're like, crazy you called. I just got off the phone. They just backed out like 5 minutes ago. If you want it, it's yours. And I was like, I'll take it.
Oh, shit.
So it was kind of like quick. I'm like, what should we name ourselves? And we had just gotten back from a picking trip.
You're like squeaky wheel.
We part of how I used to find clothes was we'd like to go to like abandoned areas and find old clothes that were like left behind.
Yeah.
And we found a pair of Levi's Hidden Rivets from like the 40s, and within that month, and we're like, let's just call the store Hidden Rivets. We knew we were gonna sell vintage Levi's too, so it was kind of like Hidden Rivets is like a collector's term for a certain model of Levi's.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we got it.
Oh,
And it
okay.
kind of just stuck, and then we're like, we need a logo, something to like put on things, and trying to brainstorm it. And she's like, well, the shop's like a piece of us, so why don't we give like a piece to people? And it's like also a place where I felt when I show up there, I have like peace of mind. I'm kind of calm. Whenever you come, it's very like mellow. So I was like, it's a peaceful place, so let's just make it a peace sign to like represent everything we're trying to like stand for, which is peacefulness.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
You know, I'm surprised that the name Hidden Rivet wasn't. Well, I think you guys did it before the denim craze, right? Where I feel like if you guys didn't take the name,
Somebody else would have.
it for sure would have been gone.
I'm surprised because I looked up online, like different
Yeah.
things like that, and I just couldn't find anything. I know there is another guy who has the same name, different state, doing similar things, but
yeah.
nobody kind of doing specifically what we're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've gotten like a cease and desist from like another denim person named Hidden.
Hidden.
Yeah, nothing happened from it, but
Well, I'll tell you what. Andrew, right? I don't know if you talked to him about it.
I told him all about it, and he was like incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
He's like the nicest dude.
He's the greatest guy. The funniest part, though, is that you learn that it's really hard to send a cease and desist for anything that has to do with that. Like it's difficult.
He's a lawyer.
Yeah.
That's what's like.
He thought it would be easy. He
Yeah.
was like, dude, I thought it was gonna be easy. We trademarked our name, do the whole thing. It's fucking tough.
Yeah.
So you're like, fuck it. Like
There's like websites, which I realize is how I got mine. Somebody basically goes through on a trademark where it says everybody who's filed, and if it's similar to you, they can click a button they'll pay $100 and it will have like an auto-generated cease and desist sent from a lawyer.
Oh.
And to kind of scare you. Instead, not really to like follow through with anything. It's just to get you to change your name and hopefully move on. Yeah, I hired a lawyer. That freaked me out for sure. And then I talked to Andrew, and he was like, "Dude, don't worry about it. Like, he's like, nothing's gonna happen."
No.
So.
Yeah, it turns out it's tough to
sue somebody.
Sue someone.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as people think.
It should be tough, I feel like.
Yeah, but you would think, like, but being on the other side, if someone is copying you, right, and you're like, I'm gonna sue you, it's like it's not that easy.
Yeah, because I can get the frustrating side of being like, at the time when they sent me the thing, I hadn't made anything. I was just a Levi's store. I'm like, why are they coming after me? Like, I'm this small guy.
Yeah.
But then again, you never know who that small guy is going to become, and if they can take something from you. Which, for like Andrew, people are making fake stuff, selling it as him, right?
Yeah.
That's nuts. That should be a little. That's suable. I feel like.
Or there was another person who had the same name, doing the same thing. And that was the other one.
Yeah, he told me about that too.
I mean, it's almost.
That's a headache.
He's like, I can't really do anything. It's crazy.
Luckily, he's so killing it that like.
Yeah. Now they got the trademark for Pool House New York. It's all done. He sent it to me like 2 days ago. He's like, look, it's official.
Nice. Yeah, mine's still pending.
Damn, man. He said it's tough. But he's like, even though it's official, we've learned it's a mission to even do anything to enforce it.
Yeah.
Unless you have literal, like, just you want to put a bunch of money. Like, if that's your job only, and they want to dump thousands and thousands of dollars, then sure, you could pursue. But if not, then it's just like,
for real, And I feel like sometimes people do it just to try to get money out of situations like that.
For sure.
Yeah.
100%. Okay, so then at this point, you guys have the name Hidden Rivet.
Yep.
And then you guys are selling was it just very specific with vintage Levi, or were you guys doing a mix of both?
So we were doing vintage Levi's at the where the store is located. It's more for like it was tailored towards women age 30 to 60 who like the look of worn-in jeans, don't like new jeans for whatever reason, and everybody tells them that their butts look good in Levi's. That's kind of like the whole thing about it. And that's pretty much who my whole clientele was for the first year of being open, was just these women constantly coming in, same ones, buying ever so slightly different washes.
Yeah.
And it really taught me, like, they don't care how old they are. Like, I'd be like, this pair is from the 1970s. Look at the whiskers. And they're like, as long as it fits and it looks worn in, that's all I'm looking for. And you realize, like, people care about quality and care about all that stuff because they're going to Levi's, but also they just want the look.
Yeah.
And it kind of made me realize fast fashion sense too. Like, that was me going to H&M or whatever with the only money I had, trying to buy those Fear of God looks that look similar, but like it's all I could afford at the time. But you're always going for the look. So did that. We were doing other vintage, like tees and kind of some true vintage, but true vintage just does not really do well in that area. At least for us, it didn't.
Yeah.
And so we moved in November. And I think February or March is when we started talking to you. So we had only been a store for just a few months, and knowing, okay, we got to get our own inventory in here, and how can we do that quickly? And that's when we came to you, and then it took a few months. It didn't feel like that long. It felt like a reasonable time to kind of develop something.
Okay, so like right away you kind of had the idea, like this is what vintage sells this sells well, so then now I'm gonna do my own, like, just taken
Yeah.
similar
So
things
when
from
we
it?
were at Denim Revival, there was a lady there that was a pattern maker. So they have like a few sewers that work there full time, and this pattern maker was Armenian. We couldn't really speak, but she was like the nicest lady, and saw me trying to make a pattern based on these old vintage denim chinos that we had, and she's like, well, let me help you. So she helped us like every step of the way, Tiger and I, and I was just trying to make her a pair of jeans, and pretty much she helped the pattern. I cut it all, and then right when it was cut, I was about to sew. That's when we left, and so we had these like unsewn pants sitting for so long, and I had just gotten a sewing machine to do hems, and eventually put them together, and then she wore those like up until we got production pairs.
Oh shit!
Like she ripped the side seams on them from biking in them, and like just really wore them.
Yeah.
And so when we were there, we were already talking about making jeans and kind of building a brand. And the partner that we had wanted to be a part of it, but didn't really want to be a part of it. He just wanted to like financially be a part of it.
Oh, okay.
I just knew like no matter what, like that really wouldn't work for me. If I'm like Tiger and I are coming up with ideas, we don't really want to have to run them past somebody else. It's like if we agree on it, let's just go with it.
Yeah. Slows things
and there's
down.
nothing against him. It was just like I just knew we would move faster that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, then I sewed them when we got the store, and then we came and found you, and
that was the first. That first one was the.
You're upstairs.
Yeah, 1146.
Yep.
That was a cool.
You're like,
studio.
I'm like, first time I'm ever talking to you, you're like, careful of the guys in the street. They're gonna try to sell you.
Yeah. Don't be scared.
They're gonna try to sell you these things. I'm like, dude, I've been to downtown before, and you're like, no, dude, I'm telling you, they're gonna follow you.
Yeah,
And they followed me all the way there. Yeah.
But you know what's funny about that is that I went back over there to install like a window tint on the van.
Yeah.
And so I hated those guys because they're always trying to get your attention, right? So I go back over there and I'm like, well, fuck it, let me see. I'm just gonna go to one of these motherfuckers just to get my shit tinted. And then I pull up and the guy flags me down with trying to get my attention. I'm like, hey, I want my windows tinted. And he's like, oh yeah. I was like, can you do it? And he's like, oh yeah, please come over here. And then it just like the act was done.
Oh,
he
really?
changed his whole demeanor. He's like, yeah, come over here. You're gonna turn right. I'm gonna pull you in there, and then we'll take care of you.
Wow.
And I was
So
like,
instead of like flagging you
Yeah.
down in the
it was like it messed me up because I was like, what the heck? I was like,
you're like, I was
this
such an
guy's-
asshole to this guy before, and now
yeah, he was so fucking nice.
Wow.
So respectful. He's like, you need anything, blah, blah, blah. And I was like,
that's great to hear. Yeah.
what the hell just happened? I was like, that's not what I was expecting. I was expecting it to be aggressive all the way through.
Wow.
Be like, yo, tint my shit, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
No, everything changed.
Wow.
And then he went back out there and was like,
Damn.
yeah, so.
Good businessman right there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he changed. I was like, holy shit. But no, I mean that was a good studio. But then that first pair that we brought was the what do you call it? The grounded?
Grounded, yeah.
Grounded, yeah.
And those were, so that was like the first pair we knew we wanted to do. And yeah, that was like our first time really being like, here's our reference, here's like a shitty pair that we've made. How can we make
I don't
these?
even remember you bringing the reference. Did you bring the no?
Yeah, I
the
brought
one
the
that you made. I remember you said you brought the original.
Yeah, the original.
The original it had
like,
the gusset.
Yep.
And the crotch.
Yeah.
People always love the gusset. And
Yeah.
so, it's funny. Every single person who brings a pant with the gusset usually changes their mind about it.
Yeah, because I have that first sample that you made of them,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow, these are sick. And I remember feeling like there was like a little bit more room. It was kind of nice.
Yeah.
I did feel like it made it look like, and all these pants are, everybody's pants are big, but like
Yeah.
it felt like it was I felt like I was wearing a diaper visually.
Oh.
And I was like, I don't know, just because the denim's raw, I bet you if it was broken in,
Yeah.
it would just kind of fall and sit normal.
Well, also back then they were, and then I think that's the hard part, right? Because the references that are brought are old and like from whatever the 40s or 50s or whatever time.
Yeah.
And so the denim's like an 8-ounce, and so 8-ounce denim, I mean, you could get an 8 or 10, you could get away with a lot.
Right.
But now the stuff that you're like, oh, but I want to make it in like a 14 ounce or a 15. It's
Right.
like,
Yeah, now I'm doing 21 ounce.
now 21 ounce, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like these things don't really like mix.
Right.
So that's why a lot of people end up just removing the gusset, just
Yeah.
because, not only because of that, or also because it feels crazy in between your thighs.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of stitch going on.
Yeah, there was, yeah.
In the crotch
A lot of
area.
flat felds
Yeah.
in all
So
directions.
you're like,
yeah.
it's a little weird.
Yeah. So yeah, we did those. And then right around that time I was like, okay, I need to make a TikTok. I need to be posting daily, or 4 times a week was like my original goal.
Yeah.
And just showing as I pick up samples. That's why I just loved picking it up. I'm like, all right, later, just because I was like, I need to film a video showing me wearing it. And just me showing it, naturally, just people would be like, what pants are you wearing? And I'm like, that was the whole point of why I was making them. But I'd act like I'm like, oh, these ones? Like, these ones right here? Yeah.
These little things right
yeah.
here? They're grounded, yeah.
And slowly just, like, met all of these people that were, like, so into it. I've made friends through it. And then, yeah. And we released them. And, yeah, it did really well. Way better than
you thought.
I was like, you know, I don't know how we did 80 or 100, I think, the first round. I don't know.
The first? No, I think the first one.
Oh, because we did 2 separate 2 runs together.
I think it was, maybe like 60 or less.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And, yeah, because I think on TikTok I had maybe 300 followers at the day of the drop. And, like, Instagram was, like, 2,000. Not that that means anything, but those are people who I'm sure are buying. And we kind of were just like, all right, let's put it live and let's just kind of see what happens. And just watched them all come in, and we're just staring at each other like, is this for real? Like, you hear of it happening and you see like videos of all these kids going through the same thing, and you always wonder, like, is that going to happen to me? But when it does, it's like a pretty surreal feeling to like just know that many people are like going on at the time that you told them to, putting their card information for that much money, and like
buying.
Yeah. And for a pre-order too, I'm like, you're doing all of that knowing you're not going to get it in 8 weeks. Like that's amazing to me that these people care that much about it. It's really cool.
I think that's what the big thing of that people have like this hate for like LA fashion TikTok thing.
Yeah.
But also it's its own little thing where like people are understanding like that it's gonna take a little bit, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Where at a different time I don't think people would have been as cool with it.
I'd order things from like wherever growing up, just random brands or ASOS or something like that, and like be like, you know, a week and a half or something if it was like their UK one or whatever, and I'd be like, 2 weeks? Like, I'm not even gonna want it in 2 weeks. That was like such a mindset at the time, because everything was like, you see a style, you see Jerry Lorenzo wearing these like side zips, H&M's gonna have them in a week. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's also what kind of scared me about going into making clothes, was just like, how do you like deal with that when you make something cool enough that like people, big brands, start copying it? But you just got to take it as a compliment, I feel like. It hasn't happened, but I'm just saying, like, that's in my mind.
But I mean, that is cool. I mean, and I think you could take it the wrong way too, where you're like, oh, they're copying me, and then you're pissed off. Or you could use it as, if you're not there yet, you could use it as leverage.
Totally.
Be like, this brand's copying me. Look, it's like, buy the authentic one.
It makes me feel like when somebody would, if they'd buy your business for, just as an example number, like $1,000, it's worth more than a lot more than $1,000 if they're willing to buy it for that. So for design, if that big enough company is making it, that means that many units are going to sell of it. That means it's a good idea. Kind of thing,
exactly. So. Okay, so we do the grounded, and I mean, I know that's like, I remember when we did those first 60 units or whatever we did, I was like, holy shit, okay, that's cool, you know? And then after that, it was just like, it just shot up.
Yeah.
Right? And then you did it once, and then I think you build a little confidence.
Definitely.
And then you're like, okay, like, this is a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like every time I'd come in here, it'd be more and more me, like, first time I'm like, hey, Eli, thank you so much. And now I'm just like, what's up, dude?
Why the fuck is this thing off? why is this label over here? Why did?
Yep. Yep.
No, but you do. I mean, I think it comes with. Yeah, it's just it is what it is. You know, obviously,
Yeah.
you expect more.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's really where it comes from. It's like I expect more and I demand more, just based on what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know?
And yeah, I mean, also more comfortable too,
Yeah,
as
exactly.
we've become friends too. I know, right? I got off the phone and Tiger's like looking at me. And she's just kind of,
She's like,
was I mad? And she's like, you may have come off a little bit upset. And I was like, yeah, that might have been too much.
was I mad or they're like?
I'm like, I'll send him a text a little bit later.
She's like, I hope there was no one on that call. No, it wasn't even that bad at all.
Yeah.
It was. I think it's just, I had worse. You know, I had some client like literally a couple of days ago, ex client. He was just upset because the communication. I couldn't be there as much as when we started, and that was the thing. It's like him and I used to communicate all the time, and I helped him out. In a time where he couldn't afford a lot of these things, so I was like, okay, we'll like exchange. It's like I'll give you a lower price, but you promote me, and then that was it. And then our business kind of took off, and then so therefore I could, and then we hired Erica, our assistant, and then so now I have to push some people to like, hey, help him, so he doesn't feel like neglected, and then it's gone to the point where I don't really want to reply to some things because it's too much. Right. And then I have to handle all the production. Like, 100-piece production is work. 200, 300 is even more, and 1,000-piece production, it's like there's a lot on the line here. And so like, it requires a lot of attention. So like, I need to make sure that like all that's going well. Right. But some people, I feel like they want me to be replying to them all the time, but it's nothing ever personal. It's just, and you understand. Yeah. It's like it's never anything personal. There's only so many hours in a day. There's only so much energy I could have to reply back to everyone that it's like. Yeah. And then he got upset, and he like said some things that he was upset that I've known him for a while, but it's like it's never personal. It's never malicious. Like I want to do the best job that I can, but obviously things change. I can't be.
Well, and the goal of like owning a business is to, at least in my mind, is grow it, and then one way or another eliminate yourself. Yeah. And that's like, I feel like step one was Erica to like slowly, so you can oversee the like facility instead of being like direct with each person. It's like at some point you have to back away to grow more. Exactly. But I don't think sometimes people like that, to be honest. And I think that's just, hate to say it, but I just don't, as much as everyone will say like, oh no, like, yeah, I'm cool. It's like, I think to a certain degree, like, I don't think people like that. I think they rather talk to me and like get the whole thing, but it's just too difficult. Like, it's too difficult to talk to everyone, especially on, every project matters, from the little guy who starts out with one piece that he wants to develop a t-shirt, to the big guy who's doing thousands of units. Right. And anywhere in between. The little guy the big guy started out little. So like, obviously I care, but the big guys are taking up so much bandwidth, and I only have so much time. But trust, their goal for us is always to get you there. So it's like, we don't want to ever make anyone feel like, oh, you're not worth my time. Right. But obviously you can't expect the same amount of attention when like you're just starting versus the guy who already put in all those hours. Right. And a frustration and all the stuff. Yeah. Like that guy requires a lot of more attention. Right. And even with you, like, I replied to you all the time, but even then I saw your message. I'm actually surprised that you replied to me all the time. Yeah. No, I mean, why not? Yeah. And and then the other part is that if you're easy to talk to, and I could the best thing is like doing business with people that you like. Right. Fucking great. I always say I rather pay $1 more. Yeah. To someone who I like versus save $1 with someone that I don't really like. Right. Right. It just makes business more fun. It makes the jobs more interesting. So like, I always want to reply. It's funny, as going back to my store, like with the Levi's women, I like those customers, but they'd go into a dressing room with 20 pairs of jeans, and like the dressing room would like fly open. It's just a curtain, and like there'd be a pile of jeans laying on the floor, and they'd be like already out the door, like, sorry, nothing worked, and would just leave. Wouldn't thank me, wouldn't do anything. And I'm like, all right, I got to go fold all these 20 pairs of jeans, which whatever, that's part of the job. But now I have these kids coming in that are, and when I say kids, I just mean my age or below. Some are older than me, some are younger. But like,
no, I know what you mean.
They're not these women.
Kids.
Yeah. They're
no,
not
I always
these
call
women.
them kids
yeah.
too.
Yeah. I can tell though when like I'm telling this to those people when they're in the store, I'll say kids and they're like, bro, I'm in college or something. And I'm like, no, I don't mean it like that. I just mean like you're a younger generation.
I just call everyone kids. I don't like these fucking kids.
But they come and they're like, they're so appreciative. They're so respectful. They like, if they try anything on in store, that's really, they're only trying the brand on. They're like, they'll put it back, they'll hang it up, they'll button it back up. And I'm like, dude, thank you so much. And they're like, isn't that what you're supposed to do? And I'm like, yeah, I think you're supposed to.
Damn right.
Yeah, these people don't do it. So it makes me, working with kids like that is like, I love it. I love just talking to these people that are into the same thing I am.
Well, I think the other big part is that they also value the clothes because a lot of the times they're wanting to do something or are doing the same thing.
Anytime they come in, they'll follow my personal Instagram, and then I'll like look at their account, and then I'll see their company and their bio, and I click on it, and
so they appreciate it, which is cool.
Of course,
because it's like the other brand's helping the brand, right? Because they're all, it's like paying it forward.
Right.
It's like, if I buy your stuff, I like you. Hopefully, when the time comes for me, someone will do the same thing for me, or you'll do the same thing for me. And you just kind of like.
Of course, yeah. That's.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, that's like the Angelinos guys came in, like, and nicest dudes, bought a shirt. We're like super supportive.
Yeah.
And just, I can tell it's like the same type of thing. Just very. They like what I'm doing. I like what they're doing.
Yeah.
And for other brands too. But it's cool to. There's so many brands right now in LA that like definitely people laugh about it or whatever. But the best thing you can do is just support each other as you're growing, because one way or another, that person is going to come in handy later down the line.
100%. We literally had a little thing about someone like leaving a little comment on someone's page, and like, I was just like. And he meant nothing malicious by it, but it was just a comment that he left because the product was in the background of the video, and it was nothing really crazy. But he did leave a little comment. But I called him, and I was like, hey, dude, like, you can't be doing that stuff, because you might not know that person, but I promise you, you're gonna meet them, you're gonna talk to them, and you're gonna need to cross that bridge. And I don't want you to burn a bridge that you don't know today, but I know that one day you will need some type of information from this person. And also, we're not here to bash each other. We're here to lift each other up, be a support system in whatever way that we can.
That's why I like Andrew so much. Like when we were at the pinup Christmas party, like I'm going in there thinking I'm like this new person added to these like pool of brands of people. So like walking in, I'm like, oh man, there's gonna be all these different people that I just see online. It's gonna be cool to meet them. And like the first person I see is Andrew, and like right away, I like somehow it came up that I had that cease and desist, and he's like, well, tell me about it. I was an attorney. Like, let me try to help you out. Maybe I can like calm you down a little bit about it. And he's like, what questions do you have? And like, just him being that much farther along, like, and him just seeing maybe I'm authentic or whatever.
Yeah.
He was like so willing to just like share experiences with me that it meant a lot, and definitely like has helped me. Yeah. So I'm grateful for him for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that's a cool thing that we have here is like the little community of people. And it's just like, if you're authentic, it's like, why wouldn't anyone want to help you?
Yeah.
It's like, it's a competition, but not like, it's not a competition like against each other where it's like, I'm going to make sure that you don't get any sales. It's more of like competition with, like with everyone outside.
Yeah.
Right. But never internal, where it's like everyone help each other out in whatever way we can. If you're authentic, right? If it feels a little funky, then maybe not.
Right.
Because there are some people that just, I don't know, something maybe just doesn't
sit well with them.
Doesn't sit well. And you're like, you know what? Like as authentic as you might be, it doesn't really work, So a little pushback there,
Yeah.
But then now after that you developed the other one, which we never really did again, right? We did
They're coming. Yeah, we're gonna do them again. Those are called Unburden.
Unburden. There you go.
And that was like our take on like not too baggy, somewhere kind of in the middle, more of
Yeah.
like a straight leg. And it's interesting. Like the grounded ones do well for people like on TikTok, and then the unburdened ones do really well for people who are into vintage clothing.
Oh, okay.
Like these seem a little bit more modern, sit a little bit lower, a little bit backier. The other ones are a little bit can be more fitted if you
Yeah.
get your like true size. So it's cool to kind of see those two audiences like naturally gravitate towards
Yeah.
those.
And you know, I like those, and I think it worked well because like everyone was doing like a 5-pocket jean.
Yeah.
So then you kind of did your own, which is
Yeah.
I would call this like maybe like a chino.
Oh
right?
yeah, definitely chino.
Right. So like you did the chino.
Yeah.
And then you kind of stuck with that, and then like it kind of seems to be working. Obviously, like we
Yeah.
have all this fabric here.
Oh yeah. That's these are definitely like the chino one grounded is our like if we get any questions it's about grounded. Unburden is always based on somebody who's wearing it. They'll see somebody wearing it in a video and they'll be like, hey, what are these? I didn't know you do these. Just because we put a lot of focus into these and we have a lot planned for these. So that's kind of why we show these off a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had somebody come in today or yesterday to the store and was like, please tell me like you're going to have some unburden here soon. And it's cool to hear somebody care about maybe like the second in line product. That's not, the crowd favorite, but it's still a favorite, but it's just cool to kind of see the different people that fall for it.
Yeah. And then like I think the other part is like when you develop a product, even as far as down as when we get to production, I think the biggest part is like we always, as a manufacturer, always strive to do better. But even then, we don't catch things all the way.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like a learning experience for both of us. And people always think it's like, I think to the people who are unexperienced, they always expect like, oh yeah, the product's perfect right away. And it's like, and even in production, you think that the product is perfect. And it's, I think production, your first production or second, the product's good enough.
Yeah.
Right. And then as you start to work on it more and more, and then I'm talking about over 100 pieces, right? Because people might think it's like, oh yeah, like those are big productions. It's like, and even with those, you don't catch everything.
Right.
And I think even for the manufacturing side, it's like we become better at doing the job, where we're like, okay, we could refine this, clean it up, because on the grounded, one of the issues that we found was that originally when we made the pattern, it wasn't designed for selvage at all. I don't think we were using selvage.
Yeah, the first one it had flat filled out seams.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So the reason why I say that, and we didn't catch it till like very, very late, was that we obviously laid the side of the leg on selvage, because obviously that's what happened. You wanted to go on the selvage. But in later down the line in production, to our latest production, we started noticing that more and more the ID wasn't showing very high up. And we were like, oh, what's happening that we're losing so much? Obviously, you're gonna lose some on the hip,
right?
But we noticed that we were losing more like mid thigh. We're like, why is this happening? And it wasn't until then where we caught that the pocket design, the way that yours is, it goes out like the corner where like the facing goes.
Yeah.
It has by design because it has a fold over.
Yeah.
It goes out to a V.
Okay.
And then so that little V creates a gap between the pocket and the rest of the thigh. And so there's a gap here. And then by the time it hits, it's here down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Minor.
But
no one caught that.
Wow.
Till like the very end. And we're like, we need to change this. Right? Like,
yeah. That's good.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is like there's so many little details that no one would even pay attention. You pull up the hem, there's ID all on the side.
Right.
But for us, because we've been doing it, we're like, hey, there should be a little bit more ID here. What's going on? And we're like, oh, the pocket. The pocket is poking out too much because of the folded over edge.
Right.
So basically it folds over
and
then it goes out to kind of like a sleeve.
Yes.
Right. It goes out to a V. And that was causing it, which you would have been like, oh, that would have been, you should have caught that. But you don't really catch these things until you're doing more and more and more. And then by the time, a couple months later, you have a perfected product.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, we got your gene down. And we're like,
yep.
Everything that we can fix, we
Yeah,
do.
no, they feel perfect now.
Yeah. So then, okay. So then after that, and then now, how has like your store? Remember last time we talked about it casually? How's the store? Because now you originally were selling Levi's, and then now the clothes is doing well.
Yeah, so like the Levi's was kind of what supported the store and kind of like that. Honestly, I was like completely living off of just selling Levi's from the 80s and 90s. Honestly, were like the main years. And so you kind of just would really hope that those women were looking for pants, and now it's really shifted. It was like the Levi's were to support making clothes that we thought were cool. Now these clothes are kind of supporting keeping Levi's in the store,
Yeah.
which I don't know if we're going to continue to do.
Oh shit.
Definitely would love to just be full brand. This is where my focus is. This is all I think about. I'm not thinking about buying vintage anymore. I still love it and I'll still buy it for myself, but now it feels more like, oh, I got to go buy these jeans and put them in store.
Yeah.
As opposed to like before, I'd be like, wow, these are so sick. Whoever gets these is, it's just you care about different things and you grow. And so now it's like, I've really realized if we do an in-store inventory, so like every time I place an order, half of that is for the store or quarter, and depending on like the style, and we'll put those in like a week before. Let them be there for like 1 or 2 days without saying anything, just to naturally get people to come in, like randoms, and then we'll post about it. And when we post about it, I'm like, maybe one person will come in. And like the first day we post about it, it was like 20 people nonstop. We're like, somebody was there right when we opened, and people were there up until when we closed. And I've never had a day like that at the store where like, I'm like, oh shit, this is like a lot. Like I'm like running around doing these things for people. And it's great talking with everybody, getting to know people. So it wasn't until recent, but it's like completely shifted where the store, like the brand completely covers for the store now.
What a feeling.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool for sure. You always hope you'll get there, but when you're kind of like looking at the numbers and realizing, okay, people are supporting it enough where you can live off of it, it's a great feeling for sure.
Man, I can't even imagine. Like, and then you have the upper hand because people get to come in and try on your stuff.
Yeah, that's and I didn't utilize that, I feel like, in the beginning as much as I should have.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, brands have their spaces, their design studios, their like showrooms or whatever, but there is something special about just like, I'll just be there and some kid will walk in and be like, I used to buy from you at the flea market. And I'm like, what? And like, then we just start talking. He's in there for an hour and he walks out wearing the pants because like he bought them and he loves them. And yeah, there's like the randomness of it where people are like, their friends are like, hey, let's go drive out to the Hidden Rivet today and go see the store and the clothes. And it's, it helps a lot for sure.
Damn, that's super fucking cool.
Yeah, because I'm noticing similar numbers online versus in-store, and the in-store is happening quickly too, quicker than I was expecting.
Which is crazy, right? Because there was a time where brick and mortar were really popular. 2016.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Good time for that,
Yeah.
You had all these stores that were selling cool stuff, and then they just kind of plummeted. COVID was bullshit, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
And then, like, the beauty in this is that you already have the store, and it's like you were selling the Levi's, and then now your brand's taking off, and then it's like you have a store for your brand.
Yeah, it feels like I did it backwards a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm even like convincing these Levi's women I'm like, try a pair of raw denim on.
Yeah.
Let's see how they fit, and they end up loving them. So, yeah, I love having a store. It's a lot. It's like the most amount of work I've ever done, but it's like the most rewarding for sure.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
So then now, like, how do you think in the very close future you're just gonna let go of all the Levi, and it's just like, obviously,
as
more
of right
inventory?
now, honestly, I'm like really limiting my buying for it. Like I used to have like a budget monthly to kind of do, and yeah, it was like Tiger and I were looking at the rack yesterday, being like, wow, it's looking kind of bare now. Like, what do we do with it? But we're kind of like seeing how it goes if we let it go down a little bit. I do have like specific women that like know me and come to me for Levi's.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like gauging, am I willing to lose that? Which long term, I think I am, just because like to build a brand identity off of things I make more than off a different brand is much more important to me.
But also, I guess if you didn't want to let them go, they were good clients, and they just say there's like 5
I could
or
always
10
do
of them.
personal buying for
Exactly,
or
right?
Yeah.
And then I think it's even better for them.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, oh, this is only for me. It's like, yep.
Yeah. And I do a lot of that too. Yeah, a lot of people who live in the United States who I'm like right next to a long stay hotel for a lot of people who work in the movie industry or something. They happen to stay there. And so they'll just wander in one day and they don't live there, but we build a connection. And a lot of times they live in New York, and I'm constantly just. New York is a big place. I'm sending Levi's constantly just for people there because apparently they can't find them there. But yeah.
Damn. Well, I mean, that's all crazy, man. And like from our end as a manufacturer, we see the growth, we see everything that you're doing, and it makes us so happy because we're like amongst the shop we talk, and as with the production manager here, Eduardo, and then we're just like, oh yeah, this is what's happening, and then we're like, yeah, Hidden Rivet, Hidden Rivet's coming up, and like their units are going up, and like. And it's a really cool thing to see, because you're ordering hundreds of shirts.
Yeah, the shirts are crazy. Yeah, because I used to have like I've had 2 like T-shirt brands. One, I was in like 7th grade. I'd make like iron-on shirts. The brand name was Donut, and the O was like a little pink donut I did in like Microsoft Word.
Yeah.
Print it out, iron it on, and I'd do like order sheets for kids in my school. And the school caught on that I was doing that, and they were like, hey, you can't be like selling these on school grounds. However, if you want to make half of what you're making, you can sell them through our store, like our school store.
Oh, shit.
I'm like, why would I give you half the money when I'm doing all the work? I'm not doing that. So I stopped that, would just sell them on the sides or like after school or whatever. Yeah. Realized, okay, I'm kind of into that. And then right at the end of high school, I tried to do just a T-shirt brand where I was printing it myself. I had no idea how to do it. And had a website, sold a few. It was more just to kind of like do it.
Yeah.
And so now to see like T-shirts, like something I didn't start with from like jeans with you, doing so well, it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, they just blew up. And it's like...
Yeah, the tees are,
It's just crazy. You're like, the peace sign, different colors are like gone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I kind of like wait to tell you the graphics because I'm like, okay, let's see what like... A lot of like what we do is just based on what people like their feedback. So
yeah,
I like made those slub pants with you, hoping like maybe somebody find these as cool as I do. But when I saw them originally, I was like, oh man, these are way too heavy. Like, it's not gonna do well. Yeah. And then that's like my most viewed TikTok ever. And people are still commenting, when do these come out? And it's cool. It's really cool.
And then like it also and then the other big thing is here in LA is that I know we talked about it last time, but the competition with fabric and like buying it, right? Because that one was like, they don't do that. Is that a stock anymore or no?
So how it happened was the first time, because I've had like 20 people message me on where I found that fabric.
Yeah.
So we did Unburden. We were all ready to go with it, and you and I.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, like, yeah, just let me know when you're ready to place the order. You should probably get the fabric so we can go pick it up. And I hit up Stephen Omid from Pacific Blue, and I'm like, what's up, guys? The day's finally here. Can I get this fabric, this many yards? And they're like, oh, man, like, all of that sold out yesterday. I'm like, you had 4,000 yards in stock yesterday? And he's like, yeah, and somebody bought it all yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Like, what am I going to do? Obviously, you pivot and you find a new one. But in the moment, I was like, this is like the biggest like bump in the road ever. It really wasn't. But I expressed that to Pacific after that was all done with. I kind of told them like how that happened. And they're like, yeah, you kind of have to be a little quick with it. So they were showing me fabric, and I saw the slub rolled up because you don't see the denim, you see the backside of it. Yeah. So I'm like, Omid's just talking to me. I'm just like staring in the back at all these rolls. I'm like, what's that? And he's like, oh, that's way too thick. You don't want that. And I'm like,
the old slubs over there.
I'm like, let me see it. So he goes over, cuts a piece. I look at it. I'm like, can I get like 3 yards? I'm going to make a sample out of it. And he's like, really? Made it. When I saw it, posted the video. That's why I was like trying to do it so quick.
Yeah.
Saw so many people were about it. I like called them. I'm like, can I pay anything to hold it? And you don't show anybody. And they're like, well, I can't promise. Like, I'm like, there's a lot of brands out right now that I feel like would want this. I'd really appreciate if you could just hold it for me. I'm pretty confident I'm going to buy all of it. And they're like, okay. It was like, this is the most I've ever spent on anything in this before.
No, that's a lot of money.
Because it's $20 a yard.
Yeah.
That's like
yeah.
nuts fabric. You're like, I don't know where the profit's going to be. But I just knew I wanted that fabric. And so they were like, we won't show anybody. Don't worry. And I knew people would see it, but it really seems like nobody saw it.
No one saw it.
Pinup hit me up, like, where'd you get that? And Owen's like, dude, I need a pair of those pants. A bunch of like kids on TikTok who make their own pants were like, where was this from? And it was a closeout. They bought it all. It's not being made again. And so I was like, that's kind of money to my ears if it's like that unique and not coming back again.
And I think the fact that, as much as I'm like, dude, let's fucking make them because it's just sitting on these racks. The fact that we haven't made them is even more of like a desire. People are
I like wake up with like emails and I'm like, how'd you? I know how they found the email, but I wake up to emails or text messages like of kids being like, hey, I know like you posted this video. I'm just curious, and I'm like, who is this? How did you get my number?
Yeah, that's the worst.
It's honestly like it's so great. Like I couldn't ask for anything better. Just for so many people to be interested in it. But yeah, those are coming very soon. I'll probably do a pre-order with those.
Dude, yeah. You got to price them, I feel like, higher.
Oh, yeah. Those. I mean, just for cost-wise, it'll probably be in the threes, honestly. Yeah. That'll be my most expensive pant for sure.
Yeah, and I know, like, we've run a couple of tests trying to figure out what's, like, the best method for sewing. And because we couldn't do the flat-felled seam on the inside. It was just...
But how you guys did it this time? I mean, it's like a...
Biased. We did the bias.
You did bias tape on, like, the fly and the hips. But, like, the actual inseam, just kind of like it's like... Was it overlocked maybe? And then just kind of
I think
single stitched down to kind of look like... Not a flat fell, but like when it's like the, you know.
What we could do at the very end, if I obviously does have... I didn't know. I knew it was expensive, but I didn't know it was in the $20 range per yard. I thought it was like 15, 18 maybe.
It's like, yeah.
But like $20, so $2 extra is a lot.
Yeah.
What we could do, since it's going to be obviously a very premium product, is since we do have to overlock, and it's not like we want to, but we have to, then we could at least do a clean finish so we could bias the overlock.
The whole inside,
Yeah, and then that way, and then it still gets stitched down.
Okay.
And then we just tape everything. I mean, we used that whole roll for bias tape. So you have shit ton. Like you're good for a couple hundred pairs.
Hell yeah, cool.
You know, so we could use all of that and we could really tape up all the inside.
Yeah.
So you have no overlock and only the ID is what you see.
Yeah.
Since we have to like pivot and like.
Yeah, and I have those in because we're in a store in New York and that store is like. They want the jacket and they want those pants. They're like, man, we have people coming in here asking if we know when those are coming out. And I'm like, that's crazy.
How did the whole thing with the store happen? And what's the store?
So the store is called Free Agency New York, and it's owned by a guy named Shawl. And like, nicest guy, couldn't have asked for like just a better way everything kind of fell together. We just got a DM one day, and he's like, hey, I own a store where I hold up and coming designers and brands. I think you'd be a great fit. Do you want to come and try it out? You could, if you want to send things, and you could be in here next month. And me not having been to New York that many times, I was like, I got to go to New York. I got to go see the place. I got to meet the guy. Just, you know, treat it like a real business thing. And we went out there, saw the store. It's beautiful. Shaw is like the coolest guy there and very just like excited to get our stuff in. We had sent him stuff right before we flew. So when we got there, it was like cool to see it in store. It was like super organic, and that's like a great other way of people. Like I have messages from people being like, "Hey, I just found you. I'm in New York for a week. Happened to stumble upon the store, found your brand. I love what you stand for. Like
Damn.
I'm glad I got to find you through this.
Yeah.
And it's like things like that that make it all worth it, for sure.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's fucking insane.
Yeah. So that's like a good. I'm always sending a little bit there, just like small runs, just to kind of test the water out.
Yeah.
And
that's what you want in this industry, is just be able to test everything, you know?
And if things don't, like, I had a couple pairs of pants that were sitting for a while, just like literally 2 pants. And I was like, all right, well, for some reason these aren't going here. Let's send them over there. And like the first day he's like, hey, these 2 pairs sold. I'm like, just shift of energy, I feel like, can kind of help something. So, yeah.
Just because it doesn't work over here doesn't mean it won't work over there.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's cool that you have another, you know, place of avenue of like sending the stuff where it might work.
Yeah, it was kind of, I was debating it because I see all these brands, and it's hard to not compare yourself to people that are doing similar things to you.
Yeah.
But I see like the drop basis so successful for everybody, and like how fast can you sell out? How quickly can you post that story of like sold out, thank you so much, and it's like 2 minutes after you just posted that it's live, and like for sure that's a flex, but it can, in my mind, it can only go so far. It can go far for sure. I mean, you look at Supreme, that's like their whole thing, but I knew I wanted, like, this type of stuff is unique. My t-shirts, like, you think you're buying an extra large, but it's probably like a modern medium.
Yeah.
So trying on is like key. I have so many kids who come in, they're like, I think I'm a 30, and they're trying on, they're like, oh no, I need a 32. And so it's just kind of
vanity sizing.
Yeah, I know. Vanity sizing, and then also like Levi's too. Like, sizing is just a weird topic in general, for sure.
100%. We measured a pair of Levi's that would measured labeled a 34, but measured 30. I want to say it was like 36 or 38.
Yeah, that's my. I don't. All of the Levi's in my store are organized on shelves by size, and I go through and measure every pair inseam, outseam. So a lot of people will be like, I'm a 30, and I'll be like, okay. I'll be like, you got to go 2 to 3 sizes up from your modern waist size, just because they've shrunken. And then they're like, I'm not a 33. I'm like, just try them on. And they'll try them on, and they'll be like, what happened to these? Is this the wrong tag? I'm like, it's just, sizing is weird. That's all it really is. Like, I don't know how to explain it, that it's shrunken over time. Vanity sizing sizes you backwards, so you feel a little bit better about yourself.
Yeah.
It's a mix of everything that like makes it confusing. So measurements, I feel like, are the best way if you're shopping for yourself. Just know your measurements.
Yeah, know your measurements, and if you don't, then come into the store.
Exactly.
And try it out.
Yep. Most kids think they know their measurements, but they don't.
We get a bunch of those.
Yeah.
Man, so right now, what do we have? Like, what's the next drop? Like, for people to know.
Next drop, I'm going to try to do it at the end of May, depending on production timelines. But we're going to try to do the jacket, jeans, I think shirts that we're getting back like this week, the new print.
Yeah.
And then we're working with like a jewelry manufacturer. And so that bracelet will be coming out. We're going to try to do like 4 things together.
Oh, okay.
Just to kind of see how like a collection works.
Yeah, for sure the jacket, like that's already all in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I knew some things would be later. Some things might be a pre-order. So yeah.
Dang.
Wow. It's a long time.
Yeah, I know. See?
Yeah.
You didn't believe it. You're like, how long?
I'm like, damn, the sun moved.
Yeah.
It must be later.
He's like, how long will this be? I'm like, as long as you want to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk.
No, I mean, I think it's an incredible story. I think there was a lot to say, and a lot of growth has happened in a small amount of time for you and I.
Yeah. I think that's why it's kind of been good too, is like we've both seen each other grow. So we both understand, okay, we're working kinks out too as we get bigger and bigger.
Yeah. So coming up this month, you have the jacket, you have a collection, or next month you said?
Yeah, end of next month.
End of next month, yeah. Which on our end, I don't see a problem.
Cool.
And then
I'm gonna hold that to you.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. I'm gonna show you the clip.
Yeah,
just kidding.
No, it's on the schedule. It's on the production.
Yeah,
schedule.
no, I know.
Yeah.
Eric showed me. I'm just kidding.
But do you have a time when the slub's gonna drop?
I think I'm gonna do a pre-order.
When?
Probably like 2 weeks. Honestly, I'm gonna announce a pre-order in 2 weeks, and then schedule it with you before.
Yeah.
So that way it's like end of May, early June.
Okay.
And then like they'd get them probably mid to end of June or something like that. But those are just such a specific thing. I want to try pre-order first just to test the waters with it.
Yeah, and see like. So there you go. In about 2 weeks, the pre-order is gonna happen for anyone who's interested, because a lot of people were interested, you know.
Yeah.
And you're sitting on gold right here.
Gold.
Yeah, literally.
It's got a gold line too.
Yeah, it's got a gold line. Yeah. So it's actual gold sitting here, strapped up.
People call Levi's blue gold, so.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's like another term.
I don't know that. Let's see. Anything else you want to mention? Any drops besides what you just said?
I think that's it.
Your store, where's?
Store is located at 8366.5 West 3rd Street. It's like 2 or 3 down from Jones on 3rd in like kind of West Hollywood area.
And is that by appointment or you just pull up?
Open Tuesday through Sunday, 12 p.m. to 5 p.m.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I appreciate you really being open and telling me stuff that I didn't even know before.
Yeah,
you know, I've heard like snippets over the timeline that we've known each other.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that, you know, you're a client and a friend.
I appreciate that.
And we could like, I'm excited for what's going to happen on the next couple of months, you know, because it's just growth time right now. It's just like, we got the product and it's just like, let's put everything that we have behind it, watch it grow, and like see where it takes us.
It's the plan, yeah. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, man. And that's a wrap, guys. And that's episode 11. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next time.